All right, everybody, let's take a look at document A. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today, so I'm not going to turn the video on. You'll just get to listen to my wonderful audio. So first thing you do, let's pull up the document. All right, so things to remember when analyzing document, we're going to put a box around the whole thing. We're going to start our sources. So we see our first one comes from Declaration of Sentiments, Women's Rights Convention, Seneca Falls, New York, 1848. And then our second source comes from Diana Pham, Chicago, Illinois, July 2012. So that's much more recent, obviously. We're going to read the notes. So I see the note up at the top. It says in July 1848, approximately 260 women and 40 men met in Seneca Falls, New York, for one of the first women's rights conventions. The convention adopted a Declaration of Sentiments. It's actually a super powerful and influential moment in our history. It's before the Civil War, so there's a huge push for women's rights in 1848. But if you'll notice, it's not until approximately 80 years after this, in 1920, that women even get the right to vote. So it's one of the first. And then the second source says, note, Diana Pham and her husband, V. Lu, arrived in Chicago in 1980 from refugee camps in Indonesia and Malaysia. Diana was recently asked what she appreciated most about her new country. So then we read the questions. So let me pull those up. All right. Which of the four beliefs is highlighted in this document? Question 2. What do you think this principle meant to most Americans in 1776? Okay, well, it says, okay. What does men mean to the 260 women and 40 men present at Seneca Falls? What does equality mean to Diana Pham? How might you use this document to argue that equality is the most important ideal in the Declaration of Independence? I feel like that gave us the answer to number 1, but okay. All right. So let's read through the documents. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Okay. So then let's look at, so my guess is this document is all about equality. Let's read through Declaration of Sentiments. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men and women are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. So I see a few things really interesting there. First thing I see is that from the actual Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. And we see that up there at the top. But then we see down in Declaration of Sentiments, it adds a and, all men and women. And then actually it's interesting that it says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted. In the actual declaration, it says among men. But here, it just leaves it blank. And it says that they get their powers from the consent of the governed, meaning are the people that are there. Interesting. All right. So which of the four beliefs is highlighted? It's going to be equality. This one is totally up to you. Number 2, it says, what do you think this principle meant to most Americans in 1776? Well, in 1776, I mean, who are all the people that are there at the signing of the Declaration? It's all males, all freeborn males, um, and all freeborn white males. So I'm not sure exactly what it meant. My guess is it probably they were thinking that it did not mean all people, but it meant all people like them. So that's a really tricky one because it certainly didn't mean slaves, people who were enslaved. It didn't mean women. Women didn't even have the right to vote or property owning rights. So it's pretty tricky. Let's look at number 3. What does men mean to 260 women and the 40 men present at Seneca Falls? Well, men means men and women. That's why they specifically add men and women. And then they get rid of the engendered term, meaning the man or woman term, from the end of the paragraph. Let's look at the second part of the document from Diana Pham. So again, this is from 2012, and I'm going to read the note again to refresh my memory, but it says Dinah Pham and her husband V. Liu arrived in Chicago in 1980 from refugee camps in Indonesia and Malaysia. Dinah was recently asked what she appreciated most about her new country. So here's what she has to say. As immigrant boat people from communist Vietnam, we appreciate the opportunity given to us to build our lives in the United States. Our 2 daughters are just finishing their university education at Stanford and Michigan, which never would have been possible without this country's belief in equality. My daughters, like other Americans, had an equal opportunity to succeed. America has given our family the chance to become whatever we choose. So it's interesting because really it seems like we're talking about possibility and opportunity. So it's not saying that everything is equal. It's saying that everybody has an equal opportunity to succeed. Now, whether or not you agree with that, that is the claim that Dinah Pham is making. What's her evidence that she has? It's pretty good evidence. Her daughters are finishing university education at Stanford, one of the best schools in the country, and Michigan, which is another really great university. Says America has given our family the chance to become whatever we choose to become. So it's really the opportunity to succeed, the equal opportunity to succeed, that Dinah Pham thinks is really powerful about the American experience. So equality means to Dinah Pham, she keeps on talking about it, equal opportunity to succeed. That if she would have grown up, or her daughters would have grown up in communist Vietnam, they would not have had an equal opportunity to succeed. So this is where I'm gonna leave you hanging. Dun dun dun. How might you use this document to argue that equality is the most important ideal in the Declaration of Independence? You might have to circle back to this question, really, because you haven't done the other documents. But we have a lot of really strong evidence that if you have equal opportunities to succeed, then you have equal opportunity at life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Or you have equal opportunity to have your consent, to have your vote matter. Or you have equal opportunity that your voice is equally as important, and that when the government fails to do its job, you have equal opportunity in order to alter or abolish the government. That this is not just referring to white men or white men who own property, which was the largest group in that signers of the Declaration of Independence, but that this definition of all men has expanded to include everybody in the country. And that's pretty cool to behold. All right, I hope this helps. Good luck with the rest of what you do.